Coming up on Tekzilla, free antivirus. We've got one for you. Gaming headsets, gadgets, Ryan Block talks surround sound without waking up the family. Getting better video from your pocket camcorder, and Veronica versus the iPad. Unwrap that burrito and crack open a cerveza because Tekzilla starts now. This episode of Tekzilla is made possible by Netflix, Squarespace, and GoToAssist Express. I'm Patrick Norton.
I'm Veronica Belmont.
Welcome to Tekzilla, hands-on reviews, the latest tech and how to make the most out of the gear that you've already got.
Whether you're a beginner at tech support for your friends and family, if you've got a question about tech or the nastiest dessert at the Cheesecake Factory, we've got an answer for you.
And today it involves pineapples. Yeah.
That doesn't sound too nasty. All right, I trust you. I trust you.
I don't want to start weeping again. You, out of the country,
yes.
London most
yes.
of last week. Did the iHype over the iPad make it to iLondon, iLast, iWeek?
Is that a new secret language? It's not very difficult to decipher.
Forget about Pig Latin, it's iLatin.
Oh my goodness. Well, yeah, the news was definitely big over there. It was on the front page of all the newspapers. It was the front page of The Economist. And people were talking about it big time. I'm kind of sad I missed all the excitement here in San Francisco.
Don't worry, most of us couldn't actually get into the events. So.
Yes. Well, Ryan did.
Ryan did. Well, before we actually got Ryan here, we're going to ask him about that, but I got to ask, are you feeling the covet? Do you need an iPad?
You know, I would like to get my hands on it to play around with a little bit and test it out, but I do not feel...
One.
No, I don't. I don't feel that need to go out and get it. I still don't really see a need, although people were saying that it would make a really cool device for board games and tabletop gaming. Wouldn't that be kind of cool?
It would be kind of cool.
You play like checkers or chess or play like Risk.
I thought it has an amazing
awesome.
feel. It would be really cool for that. I was a little disappointed that there's no GPS in the non-3G version of it. Something I didn't get to talk about. You know, I found out like the day after we
well, not having Flash, not having a camera. I mean, a lot of people will argue that Flash is on its way out anyway. But you know, it would have been nice to have it in a larger device until we get through to that transitional point.
That glorious mythical day when Flash is away from Flash. Nobody uses Flash until you look at like the top 1,000 Fortune companies and most sites that do video. Have you seen the non-Flash version of YouTube?
I haven't.
We'll put the URL for that.
Oh,
It's
fun.
basically HTML5 for YouTube. If you haven't seen it, you should definitely check that out. Ryan, what do you think? Are you gonna buy an iPad? Are you feeling the I love iRyan?
My head is exploding from. No, it was. I mean, it was really. It was a really interesting launch. I'm gonna wait and see. I can't wait to like actually get it in the house and play. I mean, it's as far as like browsing on the internet around the house. I think this is gonna be my new go-to device.
The new toilet PC for browsing?
Yeah. Oh, totally. Yeah.
The new living room iPod Touch, because we have an iPod Touch that we use in the living room for doing like checkups on IMDb or other like, you know, we want to get information about something. We just keep it in the living room and we can use that or our iPhones. But this would be that would be nice to have in the living room.
I don't think it's big enough for tabletop gaming though.
Oh yes, kinda.
It's really not.
We play games on our iPhones all the time, like little air hockey. This little air hockey app. That's actually really fun.
The air hockey app would be good for that. Spend $500, play air hockey.
No, I know. Well, okay. So as a device that I would use day to day, probably not. I don't see myself carrying around something like that with me to and from work, to read on the train. I mean, I already have a Kindle though. I already have my iPhone. I already have devices that do all the things I need.
But you can't not browse Flash on a Kindle.
That's true. I can't not do that. That is correct. I am a little bit intrigued, though, by the iBook shelf and all the iBook stuff. I think that's pretty neat.
Especially
that's something to keep an eye on for sure.
Yeah, I think it's going to be interesting to watch ebook prices, the whole Macmillan kerfuffle with
yeah.
Amazon. Macmillan Amazon kerfuffle last week. It's going to be interesting to see if ebook prices, especially, I think mostly for the big bestsellers, is maybe climbing. It's going to be interesting to watch the next few months, especially between now and when the iPad hits the street.
It's funny, too, because Amazon actually would make more money using the method that the publishers want to use, but that way they have to put up the prices, and then people are going to be buying less Kindles and spending less money on books, so overall they lose.
Why
so
would
it's
I pay
like,
that much for the Kindle when I could buy a real copy of the book at my local...
Yeah, it all depends on which way you want to use it and how much you're willing to spend. We'll see. A lot of interesting stuff will be happening in the next few months. But that's enough of the iPad. We have to move on. You spent the weekend doing battle with your malware-infested XP machine.
This is not my malware-infested XP machine.
Which, according to XKCD, is like so 2003.
Yeah, I love XKCD. It was especially appropriate to have them sort of, have a guy de-infesting an XP box, and everybody's like, oh, did you hear what Howard Dean just sent on his Friendster? And other, if you haven't seen it, we got a link to it in the show notes, but a buddy of mine had been refusing to restart his machine because he didn't want Service Pack 3 to load on Windows XP.
Oh, I see,
so
yep.
I told him just restart it, and he's like, random. It was, look, I felt extremely old school doing this. Personally, I recommend wiping the box and doing a fresh reinstall. I also really started thinking this weekend about a career change involving heavy weaponry and hunting, actually heavy weaponry and ropes and surgical implements and searching down the weasels that write malware.
Yeah, quite a few people on Twitter were asking me what you use to clean the machine, and of course recommendations for free anti-spyware, anti-malware, all that good stuff.
And it's funny, it's like spyware, malware, and anti-spyware, anti-malware, antiviruses, they all seem to have sort of morphed into one giant category. Mm-hmm. And you could actually move to OS 10, at least for now. At least until OS 10 has a larger market share, it's relatively unaffected by the malware stupidity. You
mean if that's something that just really bugs you and you can't stand dealing with?
Yeah. Well,
I mean, I don't have that problem on my PC. Why is that such an issue for some people and not for others?
All it takes is, I got to be honest with you, most of the time, especially Windows 7 seems pretty solid so far. I haven't seen any machines with a major infestation. Not keeping up on your updates, like on this machine. Downloading, in some cases, pirated software from certain places on the internet that provide pirated software. I don't think it's what happened in this case. Downloading something from the wrong website. I mean, and even like, I think it's ComFactor you can actually get by plugging in somebody else's thumb drive into your machine or something like that.
Interesting. We had a question that we should get to within the next week or so from a viewer that wanted to know if using portable apps on a thumb drive would risk infecting these thumb drives if they put it into a malware-infested computer or PC.
We should get, I'll see if we can get Neil J. Rubenking, who does all of the security reviews for PCMag.com on a Skype interview and see if we can get him to answer a bunch of questions. But before we talk about that, I got to say 3 things. First, an ounce of prevention is worth a weekend of cure. Install and run a good antivirus, malware, spyware program when you build your machine. Don't be like 6 months later or after your 14-year-old nephew comes to visit and does things that 14-year-old nephews do on your systems.
Ooh,
and suddenly you find out, oh my goodness, because... And that's just,
that horse is naked.
That horse is naked, and look at all the spam. Second, if you think your machine is infected, and absolutely if you detected Trojans or other nasties on your machine, go to a clean, safe machine. A clean, safe machine.
Go to your happy machine.
Go to a machine in somebody else's house. Somebody that always runs the security updates, or go to somebody with a MacBook, an OS 10 machine, and change the passwords on your banking, your eBay, your PayPal, and any other account somebody can steal from or abuse. Nothing worse than finding out maybe somebody,
If someone put a keylogger on your machine and suddenly all your accounts are getting your passwords taken, and then you're totally screwed.
So change those passwords. Just do not do it on the infested machine, because then they'll just get them all over again. Third, whenever possible, I prefer to wipe and rebuild an infested system and not to bother with trying to remove all the bits and pieces of trashed code. Go scorched earth. Burn the drive clean with Derek's boot and nuke, then reinstall an image. I image all the machines when I first build them, or rebuild the machine from scratch. Just wipe it with Derek's boot and nuke and start over. Then you don't have to mess around with running different tools like I did with this machine. I started out with Panda Cloud Antivirus Free Edition, pretty good. Then I yanked the drive. Actually, I'm running one more scan on it with a paid-for piece of software. Basically, I ended up yanking the drive to attaching it to another machine because so many weird things were going on. Microsoft Security Essentials is actually pretty good at removing malware, fairly quick scans, not the best live tool for like intercepting stuff before it gets to your machine. Trend Micro has a really good removal tool called Housecall 7.1. It's not fast, it took like almost 2 hours to scan the drive in this machine. Malwarebytes Anti-Malware 1.44 discovered a couple things, or at least one thing that Housecall didn't cover or didn't find. It took about 10 minutes less than Housecall. This takes a long time. I'm thinking the drive is pretty clean now, but I'm running one more tool on there, Spyware Doctor with Antivirus, which is a paid-for, fairly sophisticated, it's considered the best tool out there for removing malware and stopping it before it gets to your machine.
So what's your pick for free anti-everything?
Look, remember, First thing, run one antivirus, spyware, malware tool at a time. Don't try to run like 3 different ones at once, which I've seen on a number of machines lately. It just slows down your machine. They confuse each other. I mentioned before, Neil Rubin King, big fan of his work. He does all the security software testing for PCMag.com. So I'm going to parrot his advice and tell you right now, go read his work on PCMag.com. Don't trust me. The best, and part of that is the best paid-for tools are better than the best free tools. They run faster. They have more resources dedicated to them. Neil says Norton, no relationship to me. Internet Security 2010 is the best suite out there. Nice. And I'm told is actually fast these days. I gave up on it like 4 or 5 years ago when installing it basically meant, hey, my machine's running like a 100 megahertz Pentium, which would be great if it wasn't a quad-core box. That's what he's running on his personal machines. For a dedicated anti-spyware tool, Spyware Doctor with Antivirus 2010. I downloaded a trial copy, which basically is kind of annoying. It's one of those things where it's like, download a free copy, and it's like, I found this on your machine, and there's like 253 like
$200 to clean it off.
Well, in this case, it's $40 for 3 licenses for your household, which isn't too bad. For a free choice, Panda Cloud Antivirus Free Edition. It's not the best at removing malware from your machine, but it's really good at keeping it from getting on there. It keeps it's tiny. It keeps all of its virus. It keeps a few virus definitions locally, but like all the virus, malware, spyware stuff, it has like 1.5 terabytes of data it consults on the internet.
Nice.
So it scans your stuff. If it sees something funny, it checks against the database. If it's not sure in the database, they get like the Panda folks say they get like 55,000 referrals every day from machines that scan. And they go through and like 90-something% of those, the machine intelligence goes, you're good, and the other 4 or 5%, they actually have analysts that go through and start analyzing it to figure out whether or not it's doing something nasty. So
you have to be online for all that to work, though, really, because if all the definitions are online, then it can't really properly scan without them. Absolutely. So that's the downside to the Panda. But I think it's I've been playing around with it on my notebook. I've got it on my desktop machine at home now. I'm pretty impressed with that. If you want to spend the money, Spyware Doctor with Antivirus is supposed to be the way to go. And if you want the full suite of joy, the Norton Suite 2010. No relation. No relation. So, yeah, I was actually like, I was really happy. My system was all clean. Everything was good. But, man, I found 7 Trojans on this guy, on my buddy's machine. 3 worms. What is he doing on the internet? Apparently, somebody downloaded something, like tried to do I think it was a DVD, like a piece of DVD compression software that was recommended on the internet, and he downloaded it from a third-party website like WeaselSoft. And it went to hell in a handbasket. And things got exciting. Pretty quickly, I would imagine. Pretty quickly, yeah, it was crazy. Like it was the backups that Windows made. There were 53 copies of the virus in the backups. Awesome. That's great. It sucked. Scorched earth, people. Wipe it and rebuild. Oh my goodness. We've got, actually Ryan's on to talk with you about surround sound headsets, gaming headsets. It has kept the harmony in our household, these surround sound gaming headsets. Wonderful, wonderful stuff. Yeah, but while we've got your attention, being the only tech support for friends and families is an exalted position. There's nothing like getting a phone call during dinner to help someone figure out how to open an email. That makes you feel really needed, or hassled. Thankfully, there's GoToAssist Express, possibly the easiest way to give tech support to friends, family, and coworkers all over the world. It's been a lifesaver a few times for me already, and I've only been using it for a few months. So here's my story. My dad was having trouble getting everything set up on his new computer and asked me for help. I sent him a GoToAssist Express invite over email, and he clicked on the link, and I got right to work. No complicated installs, no configurations, no hassle. Now, I was on a Mac, and my dad uses a PC, but I could share his screen and make all the changes I needed to remotely. I could even live text chat to let him know what I was doing next. And even though I'm over 3,000 miles away, I can still give him and my mom tech support whenever they need me. Okay, well, maybe that's one downside. If you want to give GoToAssist Express a try, visit gotoassist.com/Tekzilla to start your free 30-day trial. And support us by supporting our sponsors. Looks like it's time for another website we just can't get enough of. A website that we just can't stay away from because it's too useful, too funny, or just too darn irresistible. This week's pick, 140. Twitter has become a worldwide phenomena, and if you're trying to find the best tools and apps to make your Twitter experience the best, take a look at 140.com. This site has everything, from staff-picked favorite apps like TrendsMap, a real-time mapping of Twitter trends across the globe, to their picks of 10 essential apps from different categories, like networking, analytics, and mobile apps. You can also browse by what's new and/or hot, or search by platform, categories, or keywords. The landing page for each app shows more detailed information, including customer reviews and a convenient try it button, so you can test it out yourself. And the developers also get their credit right there on the page as well. If twittering is one of your favorite hobbies, make sure you have the best tools at your disposal. Check out 140 today. In the continuing battle of a gamer's need to feel surround sound versus everybody else in the house not wanting to hear every glorious moment of their significant other's gaming addiction, let's talk surround sound headsets, which, unlike big speaker setups, don't scare the cats and the neighbors every time something explodes. Welcome back, Gadget founder and my personal boyfriend, Ryan Block.
Your personal
the
boyfriend.
significant other of which
boyfriend.
I speak, yes. So what do we have here today?
So we've got two surround sound headsets. We've got the Earforce X41s, these by Turtle Beach, and then we have the A40s, and then the A40 Mixamp device from Astro Gaming.
Now both of these are Dolby compatible also?
Yeah, they're both Dolby 5.1. So for example, this one you actually plug it in an optical audio input into that device, and that's what kind of gives you the surround sound. But you know, the thing is, and this is something that you might not actually realize when you buy a surround sound headset, it doesn't have 5 speakers in each ear cup. It's actually just one big speaker, and it simulates the surround sound with a Dolby virtual surround.
Which makes it virtual, of course. So one is wireless and one is wired. What's the difference between the two?
Yeah, so the X41 is wireless. It's based on 2.4 gigahertz, so it can actually get a little bit staticky sometimes if it's near your wireless router. And when it's wireless, it's also obviously requires batteries, and there's no indication when your batteries are running low. So you might be right in the middle of a match, and then your headset just craps out.
They don't have any kind of battery indicator?
No, only a light on the outside, which clearly you can't see when you're wearing
that anyway. Great.
Unless you set up like an elaborate mirroring system or something, I guess. And then, so the Astros are wired, which is good, you know, especially because you can guarantee that you're never going to have any static on the line. But then you have wires running through your living room.
Yeah, I mean, that would only add to all the clutter you've already got in your living room, especially if you're not using wireless controllers.
Yeah, absolutely. So one of the neat things actually that I really like about the A40 is it has this faceplate option on it, so you can kind of clamp it down. And then if you are in kind of a noisy environment, and these are actually used in professional gaming leagues, you've got this insert, which is it's a foam sound isolation insert, and you can put that in too. So, you know, when I'm playing and I don't really want to hear you, I can do that.
Oh, great. Yeah. Awesome. How are they in terms of comfort? Because I use the Creative Fatality headset, and that's not as fancy as these are, but it's actually really comfortable. Can these withstand
I've tried,
hours and hours of playing
time? I've tried
time?
your Fatality headset. I didn't really like it. It felt too small.
No, I have a very small head.
Well, it was the ear size. I like it to go all the way around my ears, and that's what these ones are very good. I mean, they have very, very large cups, so it makes it easier to fit all the way around your ears, comfortable for wearing it for extended periods of time. These are actually a little bit less comfortable, and they feel a lot less durable.
Really?
Too. I think overall, yeah, the A40s are some of the most solid feeling surround sound headsets I've ever tried.
And what's the price difference between the two?
It could be up to $75 to $100 because you have to throw in this device, which is sold separately. And this is how you kind of control the volume and the balance of the game audio versus the voice audio. How
much are these?
These ones you can get, I think, on Amazon for under $200, and this will go, I think, $250 to $300.
Now, how would it compare to having an actual 7.1 or 5.1 system in your house? Do you prefer this, or would you rather go back to have that open room kind of feel?
I actually prefer it. I think it gives you a competitive advantage when you're playing. Part of the reason is the same way when you listen to music on a pair of headphones, you get like a much crisper resolution of audio. You get the same thing here, and since it's really directional, being able to have that audio closer to your ear, I think, is actually really helpful. So I really feel like I can hear when somebody's walking up behind me in game. Is somebody doing that right now? And you know, I mean, I think it's definitely a competitive advantage.
Excellent. Well, good to know. And I have to say that I am very happy with having them in the house right now because it has gone from being able to hear you throwing grenades in Modern Warfare 2 from literally outside of the apartment building to now
no, those
being
are
able
real
to.
Grenades.
Oh, those are real grenades. Yeah. Oh, well, fantastic. Lifesaver, lifesaver. So, in conclusion, is it worth the extra cost versus a regular old Xbox headset?
Oh yeah, no, absolutely. Even if you have a 5.1 or 7.1 system, I would definitely recommend getting this.
Excellent. All right, well, thank you so much. Where can people follow your work online?
gdgt.com.
Excellent. Coming up next, how to get the best looking video from your Pocket Cam. But first,
Squarespace.com, they're one of our sponsors here at Tekzilla, and they do something really cool. They make it pretty painless to make a professional looking website. They do the hosting, and they give you a pretty slick development tool. The idea is that anybody should be able to build a blog, a portfolio, any kind of website, and do it without crying or weeping or throwing computers out through the windows. I am not a sophisticated website developer. My wife, however, is, and she was kind of fascinated by Squarespace. Why? Because it's flexible, it's WYSIWYG, and it requires no coding experience, and it keeps things simple even if you want to do something fairly sophisticated with your website, like, add forums or other functionality to it. Squarespace's goal, you click a button and all of your existing website gets sucked into the Squarespace system without breaking your SEO, so you're not going to lose your search engine optimization for search rankings and to make things painless for your visitors. Don't take my word for it. Check Squarespace.com out for yourself. It's risk-free. It's a free trial, and if you decide to sign up for it, do us a favor. Use the code TEKZ when you do. That's TEKZ. You will get 10% off your order for life. It's month to month. As long as you stay there, you will get 10% off Squarespace forever, and you'll be helping to keep Tekzilla on the air. So do us a favor. Go out and try Squarespace today, and if you sign up for it full time, you can use that code TEKZ when you do.
so I thought all new parents, had to have a video camera. Like the baby comes out and suddenly a doctor puts like a camcorder right in the guy's hand so they know it's time to start shooting. But it took you 2 years to finally break down and buy one. Hi!
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 Actually, I think it's like having had thousands of hours of my life documented and shared with hundreds of thousands of people.
You're playing to my compulsion. The second the red tally light goes on, I have to like, hi! Hi! Like I can't help it.
Well, I now know another feature to love about Kodak ZI-8. It can instantly distract Veronica. But I'm also kind of bummed about Kodak ZI-8. In the background CES when I bought this, I missed Kodak's announcement that in April they're releasing the PlayShare, which is basically the ZI-8 in a waterproof to 10-foot package and a better button layout.
But I thought you wanted the microphone input.
I do love the microphone input, but it's like $50 less, which is like 25% less, and it's waterproof, which means it should be jam and dust proof, which makes it much safer around the small creature.
That's true.
That's true. And I also got to say, I wish the ZI-8 ran on AA batteries like the previous Kodak Pocket camcorders, but it's a pretty solid camcorder otherwise on that one.
And it's got an SD card slot too, right?
Yeah, I mean, that's probably the big attraction. Like if you're going to be videotaping all day, the Minos are good. You can get like the Ultras and the Mino HD, you can get like 120 minutes of video on them, 720p video. With these, you can just keep dropping in SD cards, although an 8GB SD card is about an hour and 10 minutes of video.
That's
like
not terrible. I mean,
I know. But
it's pretty good.
But it's still like 8GB still seems like a really huge SD card to me.
It is. All things considered, I mean, especially for people who aren't doing a lot of video or photography, they probably don't have that kind of card laying around the house.
No, there was definitely one I had to purchase on that one. It is not as good as a full-size camcorder by any definition, and none of the Pocket camcorders, whether it's Mino or Kodak or anybody else, the Creative Vados, none of them are as good as a more full-size, a bigger camcorder, because the lenses are tiny and the sensors are tiny, but if you put them on sticks in a bright light or use them outdoors, they can look pretty good. This, of course, brings me to tip number 1. I bet you can't guess.
Well, judging from my experience with my Flip Minnow, I would have to say the digital zoom.
Sucks.
Sucks.
Yeah, rule number 1, forget the zoom on your Pocket camcorder. Get closer to your subject.
Hi.
Or deal with like little tiny soccer players in the middle of the frame, or in my case, I have this picture of these surfers out by Pacifica, and then I hit the zoom. It's like a 4x zoom on this, and digital zoom basically means it blows the pixels up, which means that in this case the pixels, you get blurry and compression artifacts.
Yeah.
So you have like,
awesome.
It goes from like what are probably surfers on the wave to like little black balls of fuzz.
Fantastic.
Yeah, on a wave-like shape. So digital zoom sucks. If you until they have optical zoom on camcorders, just don't even bother using the zoom. Just leave it.
Okay.
Don't touch it. Just enjoy this, and if you want to get closer, walk closer to your subject.
All right, so what's tip number 2 then?
If you want a steady, shaky, hands-free image, use a tripod, a monopod. Give up coffee or wait for optical stabilization to come to Pocket camcorders. Yeah, well, there's digital stabilization in the ZI-8, which is one of the big things people talk about. Like, it's got digital stabilization, that'll cure everything.
No,
optical's the cool guy one, but neither one of them are nearly as good as, these things are so light. and you carry them out on the end of your hand, which is like the least steady part of your body. So having some kind of a portable tripod like this or a monopod really helps. And this basically has a standard, tripod bolt mount on the bottom of it, so you can use any tripod you already have. Monopods are really good too, because then you can get that whole
brace them on something.
Or if you want to like hold it over the crowd.
Nice. So what is this one? I haven't seen this tripod before.
This is an UltraPod. They sell for about $20. It's like it's similar to the Joby GorillaPod, where it's a small pocket-sized tripod you can carry anywhere, and they're super cheap. And I have this tucked in my bag, so that if I ever want to record something and not, this also kind of works as a handle for the camcorder. Yeah. But you definitely want to, get your cinema verite on and accept the fact that the camera's going to be a little shaky, or you need to put it on sticks.
Exactly. Okay, so what's tip number 3 then?
If you're shooting indoors, turn on a lamp or several. Pocket camcorders are making leaps and bounds in performance every year, but they have tiny lenses and tiny sensors. The more light you have in the room, the better they'll work and the better your video will look.
All right, do you have a 4th?
I do. Practice before the big soccer game or the trip to New York City or the class video project. Read the manual, know the settings, and experiment indoors and outdoors. You'll have a much better idea of what your camera can do and the things you can actually videotape. You might not think the zoom is as ugly as I do, or you might be shocked to find out you need another lamp or 3 in the living room, and it's better to find out that before you realize you've got a dark, shaky blob that looks kind of like your child opening presents on Xmas morning. Not my story, happened to somebody I know. Where they set up the tripod and the video camera, and they hit play and they didn't really check it, and then they had like a sort of pajama-ish blob and some bright colory blobs that were the presents.
That makes me kind of sad.
It was kind of sad.
All right, well, what's your last tip?
Don't trust the display in your pocket camcorder. Your 2 or 3 inch display is fine for framing your shot, right? So we've got like Veronica in the shot. But don't be surprised if you get the video home and it doesn't look as crisp or sharp or detailed on your 47-inch 1080p HD TV as it did on that tweed little screen. That's why you need to practice, so you basically know what you see here and how it translates into the environment you actually want to watch it on.
So those are a lot of limitations. Does that mean you actually don't like this camera, or are you cool with it?
I actually do like this camera because it's basically a camera of opportunity. It tucks nicely in my pocket. It fits in a bag. Same for the Mino HD, the Sanyo, the Zacties are really nice. And I'm not ready to upgrade my still camera for one with HD video, because I'm kind of waiting for the more pocket-sized cameras to have better HD quality. Basically, I want 720p video in a pocket-sized camcorder that I can put an external mic into, because I'm a freak that way. And I've got video of my child playing on the beach and chasing seagulls, which I got to send to my mom, so I'm good with this. It was cheap, and I keep it in my pocket, and if I trip or break it or throw it out of the back of the truck. Anyhow, coming up next, we're going to solve, viewer questions. We're going to solve the flash playback sync issues, or at least we're going to try to. Netflix, our longtime sponsor at Tekzilla, we thank them for it. I personally have been using Netflix for years. It's really simple. You sign up for Netflix, you put movies in your queue, no shipping costs, and you can drop them in a mailbox anywhere. I like that. I also like the fact that you can stream movies live. I got a Roku box sitting at home on top of the television. You can use your PC. It is painless. It is fun. It's a great way to find a movie at 2 in the morning when you don't want to get out of the house, or if you can even rent a movie at 2 in the morning where you are without getting shot at like you can in my neighborhood. Netflix pick of the week, we're going to pick Heathers. It is a cult comedy of joy and doom and mayhem and bombs. It put Winona Ryder on the map and solidified Christian Slater's outsider mystique before he just became, well, the guy from Cuffs. It's one of the best movies to come out in the 1980s. It is hysterical. It is a high school comedy, and quite frankly, I've been watching it for 20 years, and I still love it. Not a big fan of the teen comedies. I understand. That's one of the nice things about Netflix. They got like 90,000 titles, DVDs, Blu-rays, a lot of Blu-rays, which is really nice because I can't find them anywhere outside of paying for them at a Best Buy in my neighborhood. You can get a no-risk 2-week free trial membership by going to www.netflix.com/Tekzilla. Remember to use the www when you're using this code. And do me a favor, if you haven't tried Netflix, do it. Do it now. www.netflix.com/Tekzilla. I bet you'll like it. Playing Flash and the whole audio-video lip sync isn't working. It's a lot more common than you might think. Let's see if we can help out Purr. with this little problem.
He writes, lip sync seems to be a major problem with both Flash videos in my browsers and downloaded MPEG-4 podcasts, even some on Revision 3 videos. I almost never see perfect sync, and this is true on both my PC and Mac across all browsers and iTunes QuickTime. Is lip sync really that difficult on these types of videos, or am I doing it wrong? Thanks, Per. Lip sync can be difficult, and not just to say. There are lots of DIY and pirated videos out there that are rendered with audio-video sync issues with professionally produced stuff, aka Revision 3 videos. The problem shouldn't be with the video. Yes, it has happened here once.
We don't talk about that.
We don't talk about that.
And we re-rendered it and reposted it, and the lips and the voices.
It's kind of awesome, actually, in a way. It's kind of funny.
It was, yeah. There's only so much of the whole like 1970s action non-matching lip movement you can stand.
Yeah, but first you should definitely make sure that you've installed the latest version, of course, of Flash. That's something that's happened with me before, and actually my mom was having the same issue, and I went on her computer and fixed it by upgrading to the most recent version of Flash, and that seemed to take care of it for her.
Yeah, and if you're having the same problem with QuickTime and iTunes, same thing. Remove them from your system, reinstall them, and that's the first thing. Reinstall your software and Flash playback, especially on bigger HD videos, can be taxing. I'm going to gently say taxing on older CPUs, and that can help exaggerate problems with audio-video sync.
Yeah, even newer CPUs, if you have a few video windows open or something running in the background on your machine, it can cause a bit of an issue. You can tell because when I try watching Revision 3 videos sometimes, my fans just kick in right away, and the whole machine starts heating up, and it's like chugging along, trying to play the video. And I've got a MacBook Pro. It's only 2 years old, but it shouldn't be that much of an issue, but it is.
And look, if reinstalling Flash solves your problem, or excuse me, I should say if reinstalling Flash doesn't, and QuickTime doesn't solve your problem, there's a good chance that your CPU is the issue, or you're just doing too many things at the same time. Like basically shut everything else down, shut everything else down, restart your machine, play one video. If the audio-video sync works, you just don't have enough CPU for all the stuff you're trying to do simultaneously.
Yeah.
So, look, Flash, I also should say, is finally getting hardware acceleration for Flash and the H.264 video that's in Flash containers that's out there. Right now, if it's Flash, it's ignoring all of the power of your GPU. So all of that processing power in your GPU that's been basically like, they're not 3D gaming, let's accelerate the video. Basically, no form of Flash currently takes advantage of GPU offloading from your CPU, which is really annoying because pretty much everything else does.
Yeah.
But MPEG-4 video, really taxing, especially if you're doing, and Flash video, especially if you're doing the HD video.
All right, well, hopefully that'll help with your issue. Our final question comes from Ben, who writes, I was inspired by the gaming PC that you built and was going to use your suggestions to upgrade mine. However, my fiance thinks that I should get a laptop, so that'll stop stealing hers. So now I'm looking for a gaming laptop, but I'm on a budget, and the absolute max I could spend would be about $1,200. What would you suggest to get the most game for my buck? The main game I will be playing is WoW. Ben in St. Petersburg. All right, Ben, well, unfortunately, budget and gaming PC laptop don't really so much go together.
They're a little closer than they were in the past.
A little bit closer,
like
yeah.
It used to be like, for $1,000 of gaming desktop was $3,000 worth of portable gaming notebook. Now it's like 1.5 to 1.
Yeah, so for what I spent last week on the PC that we showed building, I spent about $640. You'd get a really nice large screen, low power and slower Core 2 Duo laptop with the integrated graphics, of course. This is perfectly fine if all you want to do is surf the web, type up documents, and watch Hulu.
And maybe World of Warcraft.
And World of Warcraft, as we've said a million times, is super, super scalable.
Right.
So you can play it on almost any level of machine you've got out there. It will run better on a better PC, but you don't really have to worry about it too much. I played it for years on my MacBook Pro, which has the integrated graphics card, and it's okay. I mean, it's not awesome, but it does the job. Now remember, mobile versions of CPU, GPUs, and non-SSD hard drives tend to be slower than their desktop counterparts. But with your $1,200 budget and coupled with the fact that you'll mostly be playing WoW, it does get a little bit easier. You'll of course need to make some sacrifices here and there, like screen resolution, processor speed, and of course the overall performance compared to a desktop.
Yeah. For the same amount of money, you're going to get less screen, a slower CPU, considerably slower graphics, and probably less storage. I gotta say, I have never, ever had an urge to buy a gaming notebook. I'm also not a huge gamer, but even when I was a huge gamer, I was like, I'm gonna get more freaking power out of my desktop, so I'll buy a desktop. But Alienware's latest addition to their laptop line, it's their netbook, the M11X, NVIDIA GeForce 335M, a pretty good Core 2-based processor that runs at low voltage. They were saying 3 hours of full tilt 30 frames per second gaming, 6 hours, and it also has a regular Intel integrated graphics, so when you're using it as a regular notebook, you got like 6 hours of battery life out of it, so they claim. And they're saying it'll start at under $1,000, hopefully close to $800. You're also getting an 11 by 6 inch screen, or excuse me, 11.6 inch screen.
Is it able to? Can you use like a 24-inch display with that? Does it have the ability to output?
There's DisplayPort, HDMI, and a VGA output on it.
That's good then.
But
then you need a real keyboard to actually play on. You're gonna want an external mouse, and at that point, it's like just build a freaking desktop PC for that money, something you can actually upgrade down the line. Instead of being tied into this tiny little gaming laptop, that's like, I mean, you saw what we built with our $640. Like, it's gonna last me a long time.
For $1,200, I built a Core i7 based desktop with a pretty speedy 1 terabyte hard drive and, you know, pretty solid graphics.
Right.
For $1,200 on a notebook, you get a lot less.
Yeah, but if a laptop is what you need and you don't mind a small screen and solid but not totally like mind-blowing performance, you can wait till March, and we suggest you take a look at the Alienware M11X.
Which will still be a great netbook long after the gamings have finally outpaced its graphics. Oh, gaming notebooks are just, maybe I'm just too cheap.
Well, Roger has used a gaming notebook for a while that he liked, but at the same time he does understand that it's not going to last him forever. $4,000 too. It's like for something that weighs like 20 pounds, you can't stick that thing in a laptop bag and cart it around.
But
it's huge.
It is huge, but you know, I don't know. I love the idea of gaming notebooks until someone asks me to pay for one or carry one a long distance. Have you checked out Revision 3's newest show? It's called Anime TV, and it is, well, for the anime fans out there, a weekly guide to what's hot in Japanese pop culture with anime movie reviews, manga updates, game releases, cosplay. We know you love the cosplay, and everything under the rising sun. It's all things that your little otaku heart could desire, and you can find it all at revision3.com/animetv. Hey, for everybody watching, we live on your questions, so email us, Tekzilla@revision3.com. Tech help, product reviews, how-tos. You ask us, we'll do it, but we need those emails, so don't be shy. Send them to Tekzilla@revision3.com.
And as always, you can visit our forums at revision3.com/forum. Share your thoughts, ideas, or comments with other fans of the show. Thank you guys so much for watching.
I'm Patrick Norton.
I'm Veronica Belmont.
Until next time, you've been watching Tekzilla. Oh, we have speed?
Yes, we do.
So Roger's just going to mock me and then refuse to give me useful information?
Yes.
That's good, Roger. In 3.
Quiet.
You've broken
Quiet.
me.
Quiet on set. Patrick's getting out his big knife. That's not a knife. This is a knife. Yeah, I just quoted Crocodile Dundee. You youngins better recognize.
What's really scary is the bar he ends up in the East Village was one of our hangouts. Lip sync problems on Flash. In 3, 2. Lip sync. And I've been reading all those Dr. Seuss books and I still can't say that.